All right, it's 5:02. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we've all had a chance to look at the agenda. Do we have any changes recommended, noted, or anybody who would like to move for the adoption?
I'll move we adopt the budget.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. I'll restate the agenda items. We'll have public input on non-agenda items. We have consent agenda with 3 items, which is meeting minutes and fund checks and capital improvement fund checks as well. We'll have a pinning ceremony followed by a brief recess. Chief's report. Under unfinished business, we have a presentation from Dr. Banyan on the strategic plan, and we'll also discuss the merger study and take action on that. On new business, we have none. Then we'll go into fire chief remarks, commissioner remarks, and then we will adjourn. So at this time, is there any public input on non-agenda items? Nobody? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Consent agenda. We have meeting minutes from December 10th, general fund checks, and capital improvement checks. Any questions, notes, changes? Somebody like to?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Public input? All in favor?
Aye.
Chief takes us to the pinning ceremony.
Good, thank you.
Moving right along. Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you for giving a little bit of time tonight. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to welcome you to tonight's swearing-in ceremony and badge pinning ceremony. This tradition holds deep meaning in the fire service and in our department. At Fort Myers Beach, we begin the journey with the oath of office. We refer to taking the oath of office as swearing in. The swearing in marks your official welcome into the Fort Myers Beach Fire District family. You're joining a proud tradition, one built on trust, teamwork, and resilience. As you take the oath of office, know that you carry with you the legacy of those who came before you and the responsibility to lead with honor. Not everyone can excel in the service of others. For that reason, at FMB, the pinning of the badge comes after you've demonstrated your commitment to hard work, sacrifice, and an unwavering dedication to uphold our values of loyalty, integrity, and professionalism. The badge we pin tonight is more than a symbol. It represents a commitment to service, a promise to protect, and a bond with the community we serve. So now we have 2 gentlemen. We'll bring them up. We'll start with Mr. Dolan. Better Dolan, come on up. Okay, so if you raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Gregory Dolan, do solemnly swear
I, Gregory Dolan, do solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution and statutes of the state of Florida
to uphold the Constitution and statutes of the state of Florida
and the rules and regulations of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District,
and the rules and regulations of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District
to preserve the lives and protect the property
to preserve the lives and protect the property
of the citizens of Fort Myers Beach.
of the citizens of Fort Myers Beach.
I will do my utmost to carry out my duties as a firefighter
I will do my utmost to carry the duties of firefighters
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God. Thank you.
If you want to come up and get pictures or whatever, this is for you guys. If you go off to the side.
Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
We're enjoying it.
We're having flashbacks to our days when we were that young.
Yeah, let's get with that real quick. Breakfast time if we can take any longer. Once we finish, we're going to take a quick break. We have some snacks if you'd like to do some more pictures. Next, we have Firefighter Flores. Go come up. You raise your right hand. I, Miguel Flores, do solemnly swear.
Miguel Flores, do solemnly swear.
To uphold the Constitution and statutes of the state of Florida.
To uphold the Constitution and statutes of the state of Florida.
And the rules and regulations of Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District.
And the rules and regulations of the Myers Beach Fire Control District.
Preserve the lives and protect the property
Preserve lives and protect the properties
of the citizens of Fort Myers Beach.
of citizens of Fort Myers Beach.
I will do my utmost to carry out my duties as a firefighter
And do my utmost to carry out my duties as a firefighter.
to the best of my ability. So help me God.
To the best of my ability, so help me God.
So to the families and the loved ones here tonight, thank you. Your support's the foundation that allows our folks to serve with strength and purpose. This badge belongs to you as much as it does to the one who wears it. Let tonight remind us all of why we do what we do. Every call we answer, every life we touch, every challenge we face, it's all part of a greater mission. Tonight we celebrate the beginning of that mission for our newest members, and we recognize the commitment of those who have dedicated themselves to the protection and the well-being of each other and to our FMB community. Congratulations and welcome to the Fort Myers Beach family. So let's take a break and share in the moment. Please help yourselves to any snacks and drinks. Thank you.
Okay, it is now 5:27. We will reconvene our meeting. Our next point of business is the chief's report. And before he starts, I'd just like to say thanks. Great job. It's always exciting to see the families and our new folks getting pinned and moving on their progress.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Fully agree.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good evening, commissioners and members of the public. So for the fourth quarter marked the season of holidays and events, many of which included the district. In October, the fire district participated in the annual Fright Night at Bay Oaks. November was the American 35th Annual American Sand Sculpting Championship. And in December, the district assisted Beach Kids Foundation with their annual Beach Kids Toy Drive with the Santa event. What a great time of year to be part of Fort Myers Beach. Highlights for the quarter include several training and development opportunities for our folks, the opening of a temporary fire station mid-island, and the ongoing construction of the new Fire Station 31. Also, we had a continuation of the feasibility of a merger with the Iona McGregor Fire District. As promised, the merger study and supporting information were posted to our website, where more than a dozen respondents took the time to fill out the survey. Below, I'm not going to read through all of them, but there are some of the highlights of kind of a summary of the responses as they came back to us. In administration, under information technology, we began evaluating and purchasing the equipment for Station 31. This build-out will begin our transition from Sophos firewalls and security to the Ubiquiti Unify system. This new hardware will be in Station 31 first, and then it'll be built out in our other buildings in the next year or two. We also, under IT, integrated the new mobile networking system for Engine 31, which is our spare engine that we took delivery of recently and got in service. That integration involved both Fort Myers Beach and Lee County's VPN networks. We put that unit in service in December, and it's currently running out of Station 32. The purpose of that was to give it some miles before it becomes permanently in service at Station 1 when it opens. For human resources, we worked since August to fill 14 positions. We received 67 applications through 3 separate rounds of hiring. We interviewed 34 qualified candidates, extended multiple conditional offers, and successfully filled 4 of those positions to date. So our background checks do a lot of filtering out of folks. An additional 4 candidates are expected to move forward in the next class, with up to 3 more additional pending final background checks or other testing components. This places us on track to potentially fill 11 of the 14 seats, and we have a final round of interviews scheduled for April 9th, with 7 applicants already in the pipeline for those interviews. So the process is ongoing. As I had mentioned, some of those challenges in getting people all the way through the process include failed background checks, lack of required certifications, and candidate withdrawals due to personal issues like child care relocations. Despite these challenges, we're maintaining current hiring standards, and as the candidates hired have been exceptional, as we just recently saw, well vetted and unanimously endorsed by our staff as strong additions to our district. For the life safety specialist position, we had 5 candidates who applied, 4 were interviewed, and 1 was selected. She's completed all of her background requirements, and we have a start date for her of February 9th. We've also secured a non-binding agreement with Frontline Solutions Group. This is the county's leading mental health provider for emergency services workers. This is at no direct cost to the district and is through our existing county benefits. As planning progresses with Dr. Nicole Navaga, future options such as group sessions will be evaluated for feasibility and budget considerations. Firefighters and operations staff alike have strongly expressed support for the resource, with several members pursuing peer support training themselves to be able to support the mission. Human resources and operations leadership are collaborating on the next steps with a targeted rollout in spring. We're taking a deliberate and thoughtful approach to implementing this program. Under finances, FEMA and the Florida Department of Emergency Management have officially closed the files on Hurricanes Milton and Helene. Hurricane Ian is the only remaining open project that will likely take another 9 to 12 months to close out. The extended timeline is due to the scope of work in connection with the public meeting space of Station 31, which was destroyed. Under operations, through the 92 working days of October through December, FMB responded to 558 calls for service with an average response time of 5 minutes, 43 seconds. Station 32 responded to 64% of those calls, Station 33, 35%. Station 31, which is the temporary station housing only the ambulance, represented only 1%, but it was open for a short part of December. During those 3 months, October through December, we had one structure fire, very prominently located right here at Pearl Street, next door to Diamond Head. As I'd said earlier, the new temporary fire station was open and began responding to calls in December. It's housing Rescue 31 and a crew of 2 firefighter paramedics. And that station is located at 216 Fairweather Lane. As I talked about, we had 2 successful probationary training class where we trained 4 personnel and prepared them to ride as credentialed firefighters with FMB. In October, we partnered with FMB Library on the National Fire Prevention Month Story Hour. Our crews read the children's stories like Fran the Firefighter and allowed the children to take tours of the fire truck. We continue to work with our members, HR and mental health counselor, to build our behavioral health program and bolster peer support. We also have several members working with Chief Sullivan to design a new fire engine. This will be the permanent engine for Station 31, with the other engine that we just got. That will become our spare or reserve engine once the other one comes in. We took possession of the new inflatable boat, which is our high water rescue boat. Training was completed with all of the crews. And we now have the ability to respond to high water emergencies and other local emergencies where a small boat can be utilized to assist our community. There are service delivery highlights listed under Chief Sullivan's report. I'm not going to read through all those numbers unless you really want me to. Hit on the call numbers. Finally, under the operations section, committee and stakeholder participation. During this 3-month period, Chief Sullivan attended subcommittee meetings for Lee County Fire Chiefs Association. He attended operations meetings, training meetings, health and safety meetings, in the EMS Medical Care Council, and protocol meetings. 5 members of the department attended the 2025 Florida Fire Chiefs Association Health and Safety Conference. The conference focuses on safety and health challenges the fire service faces today, with many topics including cancer in the fire service, roadway safety, mental health, and other training events. Our friends at the Coast Guard station helped with training newly hired members. The crews learned how to safely operate Coast Guard boats and treat, package, and transfer patients to land-based units. That was part of our new rescue boat as well. Under training and education for Assistant Chief Sears, for the 4th quarter, we had a total of 1,949 completions, representing 2,350 cumulative hours logged training for the quarter. The month of November represented the peak for instructional hours, totaling 1,103 hours. That was driven primarily by the district's high-intensity mid-rise mayhem course, where we brought in the outside experts. Thank you to Chief Sears for making that happen. December recorded the highest number of completions at 709, reflecting sustained operational readiness throughout the year. Training distribution by shift remained relatively balanced. A shift led the quarter with 825 completions and 823 hours recorded. C shift with 563 completions, 822 hours recorded, and B shift with 491 completions, 594 hours recorded. From an assignment level perspective, several categories drove the majority of logged hours. Company training documentation led all assignments with 351 of those completions and 800 hours, averaging about 2.25 hours per training entry. Facility training documentation accounted for another significant portion with 126 completions and 552 hours. Driver training, firefighter fitness added important supplemental hours, ensuring our personnel are maintaining their proficiencies and staying NFPA 1500 health and wellness compliant. Overall, the 4th quarter demonstrated a highly productive close to 2025, with all divisions contributing to a broad mix of facility training, company training, EMS competencies, and specialty training. The volume and distribution highlighted the district's commitment to operational excellence, readiness, and continuous skill development. And then for life safety, you'll see in the charts where we are at 2024 and 2025 for the quarters. For fire inspections, you'll see that the inspections are up significantly over 2024. And then on the next page, you'll see that the permits are holding steady, maybe a little bit below 2024. So a lot of the stuff in the pipeline is now going through the process of being built and inspected. Under external plan review, you can see the numbers for the three months that were represented. You'll notice for South Trail that the second and third months have 0. South Trail has taken over their own plan review. So we're done assisting them with that part. And then under revenues for life safety, you can see the table submitted. I won't read through the whole thing unless you'd like me to. But also under short-term rentals, one of the things that we are experiencing is an influx of many short-term rental requests for inspections. You can see that for October, November, and December, the total of 150, almost 200, just over 200 inspections for that 3-month period. So our inspectors in the field are quite busy at this time of the year. Some significant community development and redevelopment items that are either in the pipeline or came through the pipeline for this 3-month period. Bahama Beach Club at the 5000 block of Estero was reviewed in October. The food truck park was also evaluated in October. In November, we had the Salty Crab, Sunset Beach, and Estero Bay Marina. In December, we had the Getaway Marina that came through. For special events, we saw the Santini Farmers Market start up, as well as the Times Square Farmers Market. Both of those are scheduled to run through October. And then for CPR and AED classes, you'll see that we had 1 for November and 1 for October. We had none for December. And then finally, I'll close it out with our January anniversaries. I'd like to congratulate Lieutenant Todd Williamson for 20 years of service, firefighter Jeff Lundy with 13 years of service, engineer Joel Martinez with 9 years of service, and life safety specialist Michael Colias with 2 years of service. And that completes my report.
Sure. Any questions for the chief on his report? All right, on to unfinished business. Item A is the strategic plan 25 to 29. Chief, back to you.
So as you know, back in August, we came before you for approval for Dr. Banyan to complete an update to our strategic plan. This plan that we've completed is a 4-year plan, runs from now through 2029. Since Dr. Banyan had worked so closely with district staff to develop the plan through a comprehensive and inclusive process, these efforts included gathering feedback from residents, from business owners, advisory committees, and district personnel to ensure that community priorities, expectations, and concerns were incorporated into the plan. This collaborative approach ensures the resulting document that you'll be presented to you tonight reflects the needs and future direction of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District. So with that, we have Dr. Banyan. She's presenting remotely. And Doctor, I will let you take it away.
Yes, thank you. So good evening, everyone. It's good to see you and present the plan. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, but before I start and share my screen, I did just want to say, it's always a pleasure to work with the district because the strategic planning is taken seriously. And you always want to see kind of some ability to implement, not just have the plan kind of be a document that's referred to every once in a while. And so, again, it's kind of a nice thing for me to be able to work with the district on this process. So, again, I just want to reiterate the chief's words that the goal of the plan really should be kind of long-term strategic direction, and to do that, it has to take kind of the perspective of many different aspects of the community. So we did do a lot of thinking about what had been happening and a lot of context making and data collection through the process. So I just have a few slides. Really, it's an overview. You have the document with you as part of your packet so that you can dig into more detail. And I'm happy to answer any questions. So should be seeing my presentation mode at this point.
We're seeing, you're
Yes.
seeing the back end.
You're seeing
There
what?
you go. Now,
There it is.
there you go. You're good now.
Okay, great. So Zoom may be a little slow, so let me know. I just want to just remind everybody kind of all of the process with the plan development. So this includes the beginning where we started with a presentation to the Fair Commission back in August. And then I set about working with the district to collect information through different documents, statistics, some of the reporting through the turnout time and fire calls. And so did interviews with each commissioner, and then also did a focus group with the senior leadership team. I talked to all shift personnel. So what that meant was 3 different days. The shift personnel were kind enough to sit on a Zoom meeting with me and give feedback. So both stations joined. Then we also did a online community survey. And that's something we've been doing for the past several years. I'll talk a little bit about that survey later in terms of the information that came forward from that. So out of that, I call those phases kind of a data collection phase, where the goal is to just kind of get a perspective and an overview of what's been happening, what's been working, what's not been working, and then to move into some analysis. So spent some time in December with the analysis, did some of the plan drafting between December and January. And this plan's been vetted a couple times with the district leadership back and forth to give you the draft that you have here in front of you. So today would be, if you so choose, to approve the plan going forward. I also will be asking for feedback on the plan as to what you would like to see, or what, if there's more information or less information, or any changes. So just kind of launching into some of the basic with strategic planning. You've seen this slide many times before, but really when you think about strategic planning, it all should be based on your mission, vision, and values. And the reason for that is because the vision is really kind of the North Star. If you had everything in hand, what would it look like for the district? And so being able to structure the strategic plan to be consistent with your vision, mission, and values really kind of helps you hone in on what's important. One thing I will say about the strategic planning process is really the goal is not to cover the things that you're already doing. It's really to point your way towards what to focus on in the future. Some of that's nuanced, some of it's overlapping, because some of the future does depend on what you're already doing. But you'll see in the strategic priorities, there's not a emphasis on some of the things that you're already doing and already doing well. But again, the goal is to kind of point yourself towards the future. So I'll talk a little bit about the data collection and input phase. And one of the things that you'll see in the document and in the plan is that there's a section that is called existing conditions. And that's really an exploration on community characteristics, kind of what's changed and what's not changed in the community. So I always provide updated demographics, what's the house structures look like, that sort of thing, your service environment, so to speak. And then organizational structure, things do tend to change from year to year, or plan to plan, rather. And then a section on service data. And so there's several different charts on service data that's in your existing conditions section. And then finances. So So the purpose of that existing conditions is to just highlight again what's happening and what trends can you see that you need to pay attention to. I'm displaying here the call volume by type, and we did have the advantage and the opportunity because the system is collecting similar information to look at the trend over time from 2015 to 2025. So the last 10 years, what's been happening in terms of call volume. One of the striking things that you already know, but that the data supports, is that a lot of the call volume did decline in 2023 following the hurricane. So that's no surprise. What is also indicative of what's been happening in terms of post-hurricane is call volume has been rising. So gradually seeing some uptick. And part of that is looking at what's the ratio of calls. So you see that fire calls are always there. They're already always a part of the equation. And typically in the past 10 years, EMS calls has been the majority of the calls. Now you're seeing a little bit more of the other calls, and basically that's indicative of buildings coming back onto line. So the other calls include things like false alarms or alarms being tripped because they were possibly not set up right. So you see some of that, but what's also interesting is that you see those also declining again. So the data, because it's lagged, is creating a picture about what's been happening and supports some of the intuitive understanding of what's been happening. So you can see it here in terms of how it's affecting the fire district and the calls from the fire district. The other piece of data collection is looking at stakeholder priorities and feedback. And again, that survey is a really valuable tool to be able to go back to the community. Because we've done this same survey over the last several years, what's been interesting and valuable is to look at how any of these issues that we ask about, how any of these have changed over time. And so the community, where I think you're aligning, right, and sort of getting some real feedback from the community, is that a lot of the issues have stayed very similar. So if we ask about kind of the concerns that the community might have, one of those that always reaches the top is response time. And again, that's no big surprise. And still continues to be the priority for community members. Cost has been something that's typically been on the mind when we've done this survey. And then some of the other thing about processes is there, in the last survey, were some questions about what's the process for inspections, what's the processes for timeliness of inspections. That is a little newer, and again, it reflects the service environment that you're in, where, again, new buildings are coming online. And then the community, some of the priorities, when we ask about the priorities of the community, service and service delivery is always a high priority. Capital expenditures, again, sort of what's the district spending on capital expenditures and supporting the equipment needed to run the fire service and rescue and EMS. And then their priorities are also around operations in terms of supporting firefighters, making sure firefighters have good access to mental health, healthcare, those sorts of things. The one thing that we have continued to ask over time is how does the community rate the fire district in terms of meeting the needs of citizens and community stakeholders. We like to ask that question because we want to know overall what's the community perspective in So the last survey, you see that very good and good makes up 85% of the responses. That's a little higher than it was the last survey that was done. And so the staying on track there has been good. I mean, we think, over time things have changed, but the community still does have pretty good support for the district. All right, I'm not going to go over every detail in this slide. This is also much more detailed in your strategic plan draft. So part of the strategic plan, we do the SWOT analysis. And again, that's bridging the existing conditions, what's been happening, with the future. Because with existing conditions, I always ask myself the question, okay, so these are the conditions, and how do we make sense of that for the future for the fire district? So the strengths and weaknesses are usually around currently. What are the current strengths and weaknesses? So you see some of those strengths persisting over time from plan to plan. There's been a very good feedback around long-standing record of meeting community needs, long-standing record of community relationships. The personnel has always been top-notch, and what kind of rose to the top this time in terms of strengths is a lot of good feedback about the training that's been happening that the chief mentioned. Some of the weaknesses, we think about some of the things that have also persisted over time in terms of, how do we create better communication between the employee and the relationships, the continued challenges around retention and recruiting, response time is not necessarily a weakness, but more of a concern, kind of how is traffic going to be impacting response time. And then same what's kind of thinking about kind of what are the property values and what's the post-hurricane impact, how is that going to resolve itself. In future, there's opportunities and threats, and so some of the opportunities are really around supporting personnel, using technology, new construction for the new station. And some of the threats out there are, you're experiencing some of those now. In terms of some of the redevelopment, what does that mean for the fire district in terms of the service that the fire district provides, congestion, and then some of the issues around kind of what are some of the economic, fiscal, and policy uncertainties that are out there, both locally and from the state level. So again, I know I've been talking a lot. Well, happy to come back to any of these slides if we want to talk about those or have a conversation. So out of that process, what I typically do is do that bridging. So what is it, everything that's been happening, bridging to the future, what are the gaps that the plan may need to pay attention to? And these sort of 5 kind of categories are good tools to think about. So what are the service gaps? What are the big priorities in each of these 5? So community engagement with participants, citizens, stakeholders, and how do community and education programs, how can the district meet those needs? Financial, always kind of a concern over long-term organizational and fiscal stability, especially given some of those threats that are out there. In terms of operational life safety and support, some of the things that kind of rose to the top tended to be around thinking about what can the fire district control. We know you can't control traffic, so what can you control in terms of the community concerns around response time? Turnout time is one of those things that you can control. You also can control some long-range planning and some of the disruption planning in terms of how are you prepared for big disruptions. And then technological innovation offers an opportunity to prepare for operational and life safety support. And then with employees, in terms of what are the big things to think about in terms of employees and how employees are engaged. So recruitment and retention of our employees always at the top of mind for the district. And then personnel training for emergency preparedness, which is something I know you've really started doing quite a lot. And then the last thing is around governance. In terms of, it's not really a gap, but it's something to pay attention to, which is for the district to think about its goals in implementing the strategic plan. So just moving on, just briefly to a last couple slides. In the document, there's a discussion about using these 5 different perspectives for the plan. And I think I talked to you in August about those are from a pretty well-known process for strategic planning called a balanced scorecard. And in that balanced scorecard, it aims to take the different perspectives on the district. Because the district is not just operations, it also includes community, it also includes fiscal. So taking different perspectives on the district and thinking about what are the goals in each of those buckets can be very helpful to make sure you've got a plan that addresses the whole district. So these are the 5 plan perspectives. I add mission and governance to the center because that's really where all of these different perspectives come into play. So for many districts that have a board, mission and governance is really crucial. So the plan itself is structured into these different categories. And so again, you sort of have this in your full document. But there's strategic priorities. Those should be long range. Those should be measurable to some degree. And then you also have objectives. So the objectives give light and life to the strategic priority. They should be more specific. They're a means to achieve your priority. So what's that indicating is that if you achieve the objective, you should be impacting your strategic priority. And they also should be measurable. So we've gone through with the objectives and did an assessment about, is this a measurable objective? And then in the charts that you have that cover each of these perspectives, you also have exemplary critical tasks. And so they're called exemplary critical tasks because this document's not an annual work plan. And it's not going to list every single thing that must be done to achieve the objective. It's meant to be exemplary. Here's some of the going in critical tasks that are big picture that should be thought about during these objectives. Not to say that portion can't change because things do change, especially over a 4-year period. And so those exemplary critical tasks are ways to think about the objectives and things to do, but it's not meant to be exclusive. It's not meant to be a full listing of everything that should be done. And then the timelines and lead, the purpose of those parts of the plan is to think about when should these things come online and who should be sort of taking the initiative, who should be the internal champion for that objective. And the timelines are helpful because it can help you think, okay, we might not have time now and it might not be a ripe opportunity now to work on this objective, but we know in the next 3 years we're going to have to start. So each of those, when you look at the plan itself, each of those kind of cascade in terms of flexibility. meaning your strategic priorities should be pretty right on. So you should be thinking about those strategic priorities as something that you're pretty committed to doing. The objectives may change. The critical tasks are probably going to be more changeable, and the timelines, again, more changeable in terms of planning out and staffing. So those last portions of the charts and strategic plan can be really ripe for your annual work planning process. I know that was a lot in that one slide, and so I promise I'm coming to the end. The other thing that I've provided to the district is kind of a strategic plan one-pager, and this is the draft of the one-pager. And what this does is it kind of lists in a snapshot as to what your strategic priorities may be in those 5 different kind of buckets, thinking about the different priorities. So in terms of community, again, kind of promoting programs for community awareness and access to safety, opportunities for the community to be engaged with the fire district, the fiscal responsibility, sort of looking at the tools and the financial and revenue tools to support sustainability over time, operational excellence, looking at efficiency, mitigating community risk, thinking about effective response to emergencies, and achieving excellence as a high-performing organization. And each of those are defined in the plan itself. And then employee growth and development, and then strategic governance. So your strategic priorities, again, should be pretty consistent over time, and they have been. And so that's kind of the good news, is that you can start to work more directly on the objectives of the plan. So one more thing in terms of the strategic plan for me to cover before we go to questions is we've been thinking about, how to measure the plan. And there's a discussion in your document about the state of Florida mandate to do performance measurement. And there's also some other tools that you can use that kind of help control your story. And so you can always measure outputs. So an output might be, did we develop new tools? Did we develop new technology to respond to emergencies? That's an output. Outcomes are a little different. Outcomes are meant to sort of think about how are we affecting the mission, how are we affecting it, how are we moving the needle on the mission. So one thing that we've done this time is to say there are some draft performance indicators, and I took the small liberty, we can change it back, to title them indicators rather than measures, just to avoid confusion with the state process that's called performance measurement. So indicators might be doing that annual, just a quick survey on your website annually to repeat some of that online community survey question that we ask. How's the district doing in meeting the needs of citizens and stakeholders? That's kind of an outcome measure of all the things that we've done. What's the outcome? Are we meeting your needs? Turnout time is kind of a mix of outcomes and outputs in terms of is there a measurement in terms of should we be looking at that annually? Another indicator might be around annually collecting and reporting on the fire loss and save ratio, and then annually reporting on mandatory fire and EMS trainings. So some of the things that, why do I go into this, is because some of the indicators over time, if you continue to collect this data, if you choose, you can start collecting some or setting some targets some targets. And that can help kind of do a little bit more nuanced measurement if you start to set some targets for the district. I wouldn't suggest doing it now. I would suggest collecting data for a little bit before you do that. And the other last thing I will say about that is I would not advise setting too many performance indicators, because then you end up spending all your time on measuring and less of your time on doing the work. So some really key few performance indicators can be very helpful and can be kind of a touch point, I think, as you go forward with some annual review or your annual budgeting process and those sorts of things. Certainly not required that you include that, but it's there for your review. So I will stop sharing my screen. Happy to open that back up, but if there's questions specifically about the presentation. Okay, so feedback, whether it's something that you would like to approve today or whatever your preference is.
I guess we'll go around the table. Of questions for Dr. Banyan?
I'll just say, I mean, she's, you know, I work with Margaret helping get the surveys out and talked with her a few times. You know, she's always super thorough with this stuff and gets into the details of even things like changing the word to make sure we're not confusing it with a state standard. So I appreciate that, and it makes great sense to me, and I'm glad that we took what we had and we're building on it now. So thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And I do want to say, I meant to say it when we launched, you were a great help with the survey, so I do very much appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. It's exhaustive, thorough. It is. No, I mean, it's a lot to
Yeah.
digest. and
It's his first one.
Yeah, it is. Yes. So, and I'm still here.
There he
So,
is.
but thank you for doing this. This is really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim?
Yes, I agree. It's incredibly complex and somewhat exhaustive. But most importantly, it seems to touch on all the important issues. And you reached out and spoke with all of the parties involved, the firefighters and the public and us. And that kind of depth of background is what makes the strategic plan so effective and so meaningful, I think, to us, and it makes it workable for the district. So I thank you for the incredible effort that you had to put forward on that, and we appreciate it very much.
You.
Ron?
Of course, I agree with what everyone has said to date.
Great position to be.
Yes, I would have went first. Thank you, Doctor. I mean, the amount of work you put through to gather all this information is just tremendous. Thank you for doing this. I think we have a document that'll serve us well, and I'm in favor.
Yeah, and I mirror everybody else's thoughts. Thank you for the diligence and hard work and the countless hours. I'm not even going to guess how many are involved in putting this project together, but I know more than would make most of us keep our sanity. So with that, I do love the idea of periodically reaching out to the community for surveys. Probably one of my new favorite things that we can do in the interim, since this is a multi-year plan. So I would hope maybe we could reach out to you with some assistance on that in the future if we decide to go that route. And, we can have that be part of our next document when it comes time for a refresh.
I think that call graph that you have on there, I think that's really important for us to continue to watch. I find that call graph fascinating because it really tells the story of what just happened here, not only for us, but for any community who may go through something like this or who is doing planning for, you know, response to a natural disaster or something. You can really look at that and see how it affected us and how we're coming out of it and how the call volume is changing in the different levels. I'm super curious to see what happens next year and the year after on that graph.
Chief, anything you'd like to add?
I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Banyan for her work.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a lot of work pulling this all together and probably just as much wrangling me in on ideas. So, one of the things that we focused on with this plan for the next 4 years is to kind of look at, realistically, where would we be? What projects do we have coming? What can we accomplish? We know with our new staff that, we're focusing on professional development and getting our folks, the training they've been asking for and ultimately carrying that into service to the community. One of the things we did in here was exactly as you said, Commissioner Bennett, we want to do a focus on getting back out into the community with our community risk reduction programs. Those were tabled pretty much when we didn't have a community after the storm, but as we're seeing from the run numbers, our glide path, we're coming back to our normal, our distribution of calls, we're getting our people back into their homes, and those reduction programs are important. I talked with Craig last week, and one of the things I'd really like to see happen is people go to our website for a lot of stuff related to permitting and life safety, but more robust interaction with our website that will, kind of get people thinking. How much do you know about first aid? What do you know about fire safety? And and have that lead into us out in the community and in the condos associations and bringing those, live and personal trainings to people. So that is one of our strategic priorities in the plan. But again, thank you, Dr. Banyan, for all your work. We all
you.
appreciate you as always, and great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Very outstanding. And so I guess at this time, if there are no other questions, do we have a motion to adopt the strategic plan for 2026 to 2029 as presented by Dr. Banyan?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Public input? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, Margaret.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thanks for your
Great
patience.
to see you. And I'll drop off during the next part of your discussion, but I thank you again. And I'll have the final, without draft version out to you in the next day or two.
Sounds good. Thank you
Okay.
very
Be
much.
well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, brings us to our next agenda item, equally as intense. The merger study adoption. We've all had a chance to look at this now for a little over a month. In its entirety, all 300 pages. Yes,
Can I
sir.
interrupt you? Technical issue. Craig, can we bring that meeting back up? I had Attorney Salzman attending, in case there were any questions.
I love the serenading we're getting in the hallway.
Is that Scott? Does he play?
No. Wish.
I just need to let him know we're getting back on.
Certainly.
I wish I still had
Sorry
my
about that.
piano.
That's all right.
We are restarting the meeting. We'll be back shortly.
It is. If you can get through the traffic.
That's the issue this time of year.
Start early.
Okay, thank you.
Recording in progress.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Okay, as I was previously mentioning, we've had about a month to look at this in its entirety, all 300 pages plus. I'm assuming anybody who had any questions reached out to the chief or to the Engel Group, had any questions addressed. Is there any discussion questions at this time regarding the merger study and its contents? None? I'd just like to say I went over it more than once. I couldn't find anything, either in summary or in even minor detail, that was suggesting that this was a good idea from any factor, whether it be financial, personnel, community desire, which was something that it was touched on lightly, but it was there. I had the personal experience of being at both community presentations initially at Margaritaville, and I also went to Iona's meeting with the chief. And the question that kept jumping up was why, and why would we do this? Needless to say, the study was done. The study is what it is. So at this time, would I have a motion to adopt the study as presented last meeting?
I would like a motion to direct the fire chief to prepare a formal letter to represent the town, requesting withdrawal of the pending merger bill and expressing the board's support for a collaborative state-district partnership to develop a regional joint training facility.
Outstanding. And that also means we're adopting this document as acceptance as a board. So, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
No, I think, when they presented to us previously, we had a number of questions that we asked back and forth. And so for me, all of my questions were answered when the Jangle group was here and we had that discussion.
Yeah, that was,
So I'm comfortable.
it was a
with-
robust discussion.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with what they presented. I think they did a thorough job. I think they did a fair job. And I think they looked at a lot of the concerns and things that we had, but then they found other things that they looked at beyond that. They found some opportunities. I think that could be great, but all in all, they found that it just doesn't make sense. And that doesn't make sense for us. It makes even less sense for Iona McGregor.
Right. Or the taxpayers.
Yeah,
for
the
what I was saying,
taxpayers,
is the biggest
absolutely. So, I'm happy with the report that they put together. I think it's pretty solid, and I believe Iona McGregor's happy with it, and I support the rest of the board here with whatever decision we come to.
So I think we're all in agreement. We'll take a vote on it here in a minute, that we're opposed to moving forward with any more discussion on the merger. We want to issue a formal letter to Representative Botana stating our position, and also to the community.
Yeah.
It's, we've done the due diligence, the work has been done, the results are in. Let's not focus any more on this, and let's get back to doing the business of what we do as a district.
Yeah, the community has come forward too. I've had a number of calls, personal visits, people coming in to see me in the chamber office because they know how to find me there, and expressing their discontent with the whole situation and their frustration and gathering signatures, etc. So the community is not thrilled at all. And yeah, I'm not talking just community on the beach. I've
Right.
had people from over that bridge from Iona McGregor come in and talk to us. And the presentation, the binder, I've had people come in and look at it now. A number of people. And it is there, it's in the chamber, it's available for anybody who wants to see that. So clearly the word is going around, and folks are not pleased.
I would like to amend my motion.
Yes, sir.
In addition to what I say, that this board rejects the continuation of continuing with any study. We agree with the study as according we had to do. And
I will second that amendment. That's a solid
yeah, I
point.
want to make it perfectly clear.
Mr. Sullivan, do you have some input? I heard some chatter, I'm sorry.
I do too.
All right.
I don't think you can hear me.
Now I can.
Now we can.
How are you, sir?
Great. Oh, no, it's, I think that's the appropriate motion to take based on, and you have validation based on the report. And I don't know how anybody can talk contrary to what you have gotten from an independent source.
Outstanding. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yes, Chief.
Would you like me to give a little background since the last meeting?
Yes, certainly, if you
Okay.
would.
So what you have in front of you is the draft letter to the representative demanding to withdraw. Iona McGregor had their board meeting last week. That was the action taken by their board. Their attorney is drawing up a similar letter to be presented to the local delegation, which includes representatives and senators. I had the opportunity to meet with Representative Botana and ask him, have you been through the report? We talked about some of the nuances, basically the Cliff Notes version that if you start by standardizing the PAN benefits across the 2 districts, it represents an increase in cost to the taxpayers. In order to increase those costs, the taxpayers are also going to have to vote for an increase in their millage rate. Specifically at Iona McGregor, where they're at 2.5 mils. If our department was given to Iona McGregor, their millage rate would not sustain the operations of the 2 districts as they run today. In addition to that, Iona McGregor would likely lose their accreditation. We know we would lose fire-based transport on the beach. So basically what we're looking at is a bill that would require a tax increase, a millage rate cap increase, and would come with a reduction in services. So for those reasons, I'm proposing through the draft letter you have in front of you to follow the same course of action that Iona McGregor is taking and formally requesting the bill be withdrawn. Also, in my conversation with Representative Botana, some of the things that he has talked about throughout this whole process is, why do we need a training center in the Fort Myers Beach district? Why not use one of the other nearby ones? The study also found, although it did not recommend, in fact, it recommended that we not do a full consolidation, that there were opportunities possibly for joint training. So myself and Chief Comer and staff from both agencies have started looking at the feasibility of doing something like that. And it came to mind that in lieu of this bill, which we now know represents a potential tax increase and a loss of services, can we do a joint training center? And in the area of Pine Ridge Road, there are some commercial industrial parcels, but they also back up to the Wiki-Hatchee State Park. So we got to thinking, possibly we work with the state. If the state would provide access to a small corner of the state park and provide the land, that would provide the ability for the districts to use taxpayer money wisely to construct the facility. We could have a fully ISO compliant facility that could serve us, Iona, it could serve Sanibel and Captiva. It would help us all in our ISO ratings, and the state could partner with us. And it could be a win-win alternative, so we could have something good come out of this whole process, in addition to having that data that tells us exactly where we are. We could come out of this process with a joint training facility, can serve the whole Southwest Lee County region, and the state could be a viable partner in that. So the letter is a 2-part letter, both asking for the bill to be withdrawn, and the second part for the state to support us in possibly doing this joint training center. That's what's happened since the last time we met. I've also had the chance to speak with Senator Martin, Representative Gia Lombardo, and Representative Persons Mullica on going through the details of the report, so they're aware of the nuances involved with the cost and the loss of services.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would also, again, with the board's approval, do we CC the rest of the Southwest delegation when we send this letter to Mr. Botana?
That would be my request.
Yes.
Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's plan on that. Any other questions, comments, input?
Anything
All right.
from Attorney Saltzman?
Mr. Salzman, any other input on the discussion?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, so we're now down to the decision-making process that we all love. All in favor?
Does it have to be a roll call?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Chief, for helping put all this together and juggling the football as we've been doing for the last several months. We have no new business. Takes us down to Fire Chief remarks.
Yes, I went through the whole report earlier, so I'll be brief on my remarks. Overall, I want to say that our staff is working hard from every position that we have. We're getting to the point where we're kind of hitting on all cylinders. If you're driving by, you see that the fence has come down, and we'll soon have the fire station open for business. So we're seeing the community come back, and we're seeing coming back in a big way, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, in general, I just want to thank all of you for your leadership and everybody on my team for all their work. So, thank you.
Commissioner remarks. Ron, let's start with you, sir.
I think we're in a good place, and thank you for everyone for all that you did. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
Thank you. I think really this has been a pretty remarkable period of time for us, and you can tell we're really at the threshold of a lot more remarkable times, I think, as we move forward. The department is growing and maturing, and I'm excited about the future for the district, really.
Jack.
I'm happy with the report. Thank you for Attorney Saltzman for being here. I find it really encouraging to see how much training's going on, because I've passed it a few times now, and then I've heard about it, and I've seen it, and I can tell too that it's just different stuff that we're doing that we haven't done before, which I really like. The opportunity to train with the Coast Guard. I mean, that's invaluable to have the ability to know what it feels like trying to carry people off boats that are rocking and moving, and you know, things like that, and working in and around the water. Stuff like that's so important, and I think it's incredible that we're doing it finally, and I can't wait to see what other things are created and dreamed up to train, because it seems like they're coming up with these crazy scenarios, but they make sense. I mean, it's something you don't think about every day. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope that the crew and the teams out there are enjoying getting to do those trainings and really digging into them and taking them for everything they're worth. So that, and just thank you for the report and the letter, and you know, great job.
Okay.
I want to congratulate the 2 new members of the team. I think it's great. 2 more coming aboard, and sounds like there's more in the pipeline. Looking forward to that. Made it through my first strategic plan, and holy cats, wow. But it's a good roadmap. It's a good roadmap for all of us. It's a good roadmap for the district for the next 4 years. Also impressed with the training hours going into the department. So that's about it. And still really happy to be here.
Thank you. I concur with everybody else. Seeing the families come for the pinning is always a heartwarming experience, and I do. I think back to my young days when I was starting in positions and getting promotions, and if you were lucky enough to have family there, it's a big thing. And if not, you saw it as well, the internal family pinning. So that support is always there, and it's heartwarming to see. Training, phenomenal job. We were kind of discussing it earlier, the feedback that's being heard throughout the community is very positive on the amount and the excitement over it, which, again, we've all been through periods in our careers where training was a big part of what we did. Not always exciting, not always enthusiastic to go. And it seems to be a little different now. It seems to be that our folks are really excited to learn new things and to learn them from people who have been there that have the expertise. And when we don't have them in-house, we bring them from out of town. We bring the specialists in to do that. And I appreciate it. I'm sure they do as well. Again, strategic plan, it's our roadmap resource to go back to for the coming years. And I'd say looking forward to the next one, but I don't know if I'll be here then. So who knows? The future holds different things for everybody. But outstanding job from everybody. Chief and your team, great as always. Craig for putting the meeting together and keeping our tech on site. And unless